Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Have you ever thought about wearing rings as a decorative way for men to stand out from the crowd? If so, I suggest you watch this video because I talk all about men's rings. I give you a glimpse into my collection, I discuss how I built it and what I learned along the way, as well as what I paid for them and which rings I wear the most. While rings are really normal for the ladies of the world, a lot of men don't really think about rings unless it's their wedding band. First of all, why should you wear a ring as a man? Isn't that too effeminate? And initially, I would wear rings for a long time because I simply didn't think about them. However, when going through my archive of menswear pictures and watching old movies, I always saw elegant gentlemen with pinky rings or rings on their ring finger. There was either signet rings, they sometimes had precious stones or semi-precious stones, and I got much more interested in them. At the end of the day, as a man, apart from your cufflinks or your collar pin or your tie bar, there's really not a whole lot of jewelry you can wear. Obviously, a ring serves no practical purpose other than the fact that it's simply beautiful. So the first ring I actually bought at a flea market in Berlin. It was sterling silver Malachite, and it cost me around 15 euros, which is around 20 bucks. It was very inexpensive, but I liked it and it fit on my finger, and that was my first purchase. I still have it in my collection because it's a little bolder. It goes well with the Malachite and silver cufflinks that we have from Fort Belvedere, and overall it's a ring I enjoy wearing, and I'm not afraid of losing it or scratching it because it didn't cost much in the first place. Once I had that first ring, I was hooked, and I looked at older photographs to find out more about those rings. I noticed that most modern rings and jewelers were something I really didn't like, and so I had to go to vintage stores, flea markets, look on eBay and other vintage platforms to find the styles that I liked. I bought the most rings when we went to an antique show in Brimfield, which is huge and can be quite overwhelming, and you really have to walk all day and go to different vendors. But I found quite a few rings that I actually liked and that didn't break the bank either. For example, there's this sterling silver vermeil rose gold ring that has kind of a long oval shape of a blue stone. I don't quite know what stone it is, but it was nice, I liked it, and it was different. The other ring I found in Brimfield was this yellow or greenish gold ring with a bloodstone with cut corners, so it was octagonal. And I really like the ring, it's different, it has a slight decoration, and I actually had it resized at the jeweler, and it costs about 50, 60, 70 bucks. But it's essential because chances that you find something in your ring finger or pinky finger size are rather slim. At the same show, I bought this ring in a dark blue lapis lazuli and sterling silver. I liked the lapis, and it wasn't something I already had in my collection, so I bought it. Honestly, it's not my favorite ring. It's very simple, and I think a different shape, more like a signet ring, would be advantageous. So I'm still looking for them, but again, it's really hard to find them. What I like about lapis is that it goes well again with all blue tones. It's a deeper blue than the other ring I had, and I like to wear it in combination with my lapis cufflinks from Fort Belvedere. This next ring I bought in London, England. It is a typical signet ring shape, and it has a carnelian stone, and it could be engraved with either my initials or symbols or monograms or even a family crest, but frankly, I'm not really into that stuff, and I just enjoy the plain stone and the silver look, and I don't need any degree of personalization. And I bought it, I think, for like 40 pounds. This next ring is a 14 karat rose gold ring with an oval onyx. It's a very typical men's ring shape that could be again a signet ring or have my monogram on it. Onyx is just a very classic stone, and I just wanted to have a black stone in my collection. Again, I bought it at the vintage store, I think at the current gold price at the time. In the same store, I bought a very similar ring in terms of shape, but again, it had a bloodstone, and even though I already had the other bloodstone in my collection, I added it because I like to wear green, and the dark green and red actually works with quite a few things, such as business suits, as well as tweed jackets and sport coats. Here's another carnelian ring. It has a much more vintage look in my opinion. It's kind of a cushion that's almost rectangular or square with rounded corners. I don't wear it very often, but it's a different shape than all of my other rings, and because of that I like it. It's probably not my favorite shape. The Carnelian works well with a classic business suit in navy or in charcoal, but you can also wear it with brown tones, and I just like having different shapes in my collection, so if the mood strikes, I always have something handy. I found this one, I think, at a flea market in Hamburg for 20 or 30 bucks. The next two rings are Tiger's Eye. And I really like Tiger's Eye because they have brown tones and they really work harmoniously with any type of brown in your wardrobe. And this one is gold with a Tiger's Eye and it has this nice effect in the light. When you move, it changes the look of it, which is why it got its name, Tiger's Eye, because it's like the eye of a tiger. I like to pair this ring with our gold and Tiger's Eye eagle claw cufflinks. They really work well together and it's just beautiful. The next Tiger's Eye ring is very different. It's cut differently. It's a flat top stone. It's much larger. It comes in silver. And as you can see, if I move it, it really has a dramatic effect in the way it looks, which is why I like it. Personally, for my taste, this stone is quite big, but I simply like the look of the Tiger's Eye, and so I couldn't leave it behind. I think I also got it in Brimfield, and it was rather inexpensive. Obviously, some rings are much thinner and lighter in weight than others, and that has a huge effect on the price, especially if they're made out of gold. That being said, this next ring is quite heavy. It's solid gold, and so are the others, but you can just tell it's a much more massive and solid quality. It has a large citrine, and it fit my ring finger perfectly. And I really like the ring because it's warm, and it goes well with an outfit like here, where I have like yellow tones in my outfits, and it just ties it all perfectly together. Again, I got this ring used, but I think it cost me about $400 at gold price. If I had bought this ring new, it would probably cost me $2,500. Next up is another silver and malachite ring. It's a very solid sterling silver quality, and while most rings have the inside of the ring where the stone is exposed, this one is just solidly closed up. And frankly, I really like this construction. It makes the ring a little heavier, but it also prevents any dirt from getting in the area below the stone. And if I had a choice, all of my rings would be finished like that. You may notice that this ring is a little looser than some other rings. And once I started collecting and wearing rings, I realized that the size of my hand changes with the seasons. So during the summer, I actually have slightly thicker fingers than during the winter. And the same ring sometimes will feel loose during the winter and tight during the summer. So it pays to have slightly different ring sizes in your collection. That way you can always find a ring that works at any given point in time. The next ring is quite unusual. It has a dark star sapphire ring. It has a strong light source, which means when you actually move around in the sunlight, for example, you can see a star on the ring that moves. Personally, I find it quite cool. It also has nice decorative elements on the side. They're quite unique. If you buy star sapphires new, they're very expensive and it can easily cost $2,000 to $3,000 as a ring. This was a vintage piece and I paid like $500 for it. Next up is one of my favorite rings. It's a dark green domed tourmaline. It's solid gold and the surface was carefully treated by hand to give it a certain texture that almost makes it look like leather. It's not hammered, but it looks like there's slight scratches, but it's made in a regular fashion, so it's quite cool and it's a hallmark of a work of a goldsmith. Next up is a ring with an orange stone. Honestly, I don't quite know what it is. I suppose it's agate because it comes in many different colors. And I like it because it's the only orange ring that I have in my collection right now. And I value having different colors to match with different outfits. Whenever there's orange in my pocket square, my tie, or my shirt, I like to wear this ring because it's warm, it's summery, yet it's different. It's also set as a rectangle with rounded corners and it has slight decorations. I think it's sterling silver that is heavily gold plated. Last but not least, here's a ring that I just added to my collection, but I really like it. It has a star sapphire, and here you can really see the effect of a light source, so it's really cool. It has two little diamonds on the right and on the left side of the ring, and then it has a kind of scratched surface. It's 14 karat white gold, and it just makes it overall look matte and not as shiny, which I think is quite sophisticated. I was really lucky. I think I just paid $155 for this ring. New, this would probably cost $2,000 to $3,000. Now, obviously, I built my collection of rings entirely based on used and vintage rings, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because I really couldn't find new rings that were in line with my taste. Now I know chances for you to find rings like that are close to zero, and because of that, we decided to start designing rings. When we did that, we realized the quality that we wanted paired with a fixed size would quickly create an inventory problem. Because if we had, let's say, 10 rings, in 10 sizes each, stocked in many different colors, we'd have at least $300,000–$400,000 worth of inventory in our warehouse, and that's simply impractical because we would have to charge a higher price. It simply doesn't make sense. So if you're interested in classic gentlemen's rings, please head over to the website here, let us know what you're interested in, and maybe we can create a custom made-to-order program that at the same time keeps the prices low, because spending $2,000 on a ring is a lot of money that you can probably invest more wisely in other parts of your wardrobe, such as in a pair of good shoes, a good suit, or maybe some waistcoats, or even accessories. Sign up to our channel here, subscribe, hit that little bell so videos like this come right to your inbox. In today's outfit, I'm wearing a single-breasted, 2-button, notched lapel navy suit. It was custom-made for me years ago. It was one of my first custom-made suits, and it's by far not perfect. The sleeves are too tight for my taste, but it still looks nice. I'm pairing it here with a light blue, off-white, brown and yellow striped shirt. It's a very lightweight fabric. I think it's a vintage one from Siniscalchi. It's paired with a brown grenadine tie from Fort Belvedere, which you can find in our shop here. And the pocket square is hand-rolled in Italy with an X stitch in light blue with yellow stitches, so it picks up the tones of the shirt without being identical. It's kind of summery and fresh, and I really like it. You can also find it in our shop. And I am with a brown on my shirt. I added brown shoes, and to tie them together to my navy blue pants, I opted for a brown and light blue striped, shadow striped pair of socks from Fort Belvedere. From Cufflinks, I'm wearing a pair of tiger's eye and yellow gold cufflinks with the eagle claw design. I paired with the matching ring in tiger's eye and vermeil silver. Vermeil silver means it's solid sterling silver, that it's heavily gold plated. The lapel flower is from our Fort Belvedere collection, and you can find it in the shop here.